Well, if you needed a lesson as to why you don't pass in the double yellow line, here it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, what happened? Hey, come on up here, because that pole snapped, I don't want it to fall. What happened, man?
I was coming around this left.
All right, everybody, it's lesson time, and if we needed a lesson not to pass on the double yellow line, well, now we know why they exist, right? Dotted lines means safe to pass. If it's dotted on one side, you can pass from that side. If it's just a dotted line in the middle of the road, safe to pass from either direction of travel. If it's a double yellow line, which is what we have here, you can't pass from either direction because presumably you can't see what's coming. That's why you can't pass generally, is because you can't see what's coming in the other direction. The guy who painted the road knows, and you don't. And what happens if you decide that that guy didn't really know what he was talking about, and you think you know better? Well, you get something that looks like this. And we pick it up here on the performance data recorder where you can see he's doing 91 miles an hour on this 2-lane road and about to pass the car in front of him on a double yellow line. So here we go. Car in front of him tries to get out of the way to give him room, and there's a telephone pole there. But also, as you see these power lines jumping up and down, you'll see that the guy he passed is actually on the brakes and will ultimately pull over on the side of the road, presumably not to see if he's okay, but to tell the cops what happened. All right, so let's break down what we've just seen. It's actually pretty bad. This is a very, very reckless maneuver, which could have resulted in a head-on collision. The guy passed the car in front of him on a rural road. The impatience of this driver led him to try to pass at 91 miles an hour in presumably a 40, maybe 50 mile an hour road. The guy in the van in front of him, in the minivan, decided that, like, look, I know this is gonna happen and I'm gonna make the situation slightly less dangerous for oncoming cars because I know what he's doing and he shouldn't be doing it. I'm gonna pull off onto the shoulder a little bit to let this idiot do stupid stuff in the safest way possible, which I commend that because that's awareness of what's going on in your surroundings, and that's very good. Because if he just holds his lane, now this guy's all the way out on the other side. I mean, I guess it wouldn't have prevented them from crashing, but it would have made it a little bit more dangerous. It gives him less time to get back over if a car does happen to be coming, a truck or anything happens to be coming in the opposite direction. Now, he's very lucky, right? Because when you're out of control, you're a passenger. I don't care what seat you're sitting in. When you're out of control, you are a passenger waiting to see what's going to happen. And this guy got very lucky in that the telephone pole struck the driver's side headlight. And if he had struck the center of the car, I think there's more reinforcement on that side. If he struck the center of the car, I've seen cars literally swallow up a telephone pole or cut right through the car. That could have been even worse. All right, so what are the takeaways from this, right? We're learning a couple of lessons. One, it's not really fun to rent cars because you have to deal with stuff like this, right? Yeah, it makes good internet content, but at the end of the day, having to deal with this process, you're probably not going to be made whole or reimbursed on all the lost income you're going to have. That sucks. If the car is not deemed a total loss, which I feel like it's got to be, but if these things are selling for $100 and whatever thousand, there's a chance that this isn't a write-off and they're going to be without that car for a while because that's a big repair. There's a chance the customer's insurance fights them or doesn't pay for it or claims negligence or whatever the situation may be. Also another headache to deal with. We learned that you don't pass in a double yellow line and you don't do that common thing that people love to do when they get in performance cars. There's nothing more badass than driving a performance car and thinking like, I'm going to turn traction control off, right? This car is going to just be hindering my smooth driving abilities with traction control on. Traction control, let me tell you, is your friend, right? Because I don't know if it would have saved this accident. This guy and what he did was he just sort of turned in too abruptly and went sliding across the road. But there is a chance that traction control, if it was on, and I don't know what mode it was in, would have saved it. But a lot of the times when people crash exotic cars or sports cars, it's always the hold my beer, watch this, I know what I'm doing. The PDR was on probably because maybe this was the guy like trying to feel cool. So he had a video clip to go show raging around on a local road. It's happened, and more often than not, you run into a situation like this where the outcome is not what you saw going on in your head, right? You see this like awesome like counter steer, drift out of the driveway, and what do? You jump a curb and total your car. Just happened at the Nürburgring the other day. A guy in his Lambo.
Gas, gas, gas.
Crashed right in front of everybody. It's embarrassing. It sucks. Keep traction control on. I'm telling you, all of these cars nowadays, you can't tell me you're not going to have fun with the car because traction control's on. Most of the time I drive with it on, unless I'm specifically driving a certain way where I have to take it off. But I've also got 20 years of seat time driving cars in a fun manner. So be careful out there. If you're out there looking for a Corvette, there's another YouTube. I guess it's not cool anymore to pick up the crash Corvettes because there's so many of them. But I would take this over one of the flooded hurricane Corvettes down in Florida right now. It's going to be a lengthy repair, but with today's market, who knows? I don't know. They may not even total it out. We'll see what ends up happening. Drive safe out there. Don't drive like this guy. You want to get into renting sports cars and exotic cars, you have a great time because this is a whole bunch of I am happy it's not my headache, right? Makes sense. If you want to buy a car, this car is going to be sold by Tuesday of next week because now it's my time of year where I have a Z06 coming in. I have my other replacement 2022 C8 over there, this 21 C8 convertible ready to go for wholesale for whoever wants it. Send me a message, you could say rob@superspeeders.com. Just send me an email. It's real money, like 80 grand. So if you want it, wholesale on it's like 82. It's got 14,000 miles on it. If you want it, it's all yours for that, but that means you have to actually send the money and complete the transaction. I'm not going back and forth. So if you want the cheapest, literally the cheapest for sale C8 in the country, it's going to be this one, which is Rob selling it just a couple of bucks below wholesale. No accidents. It's a good car. So if you want it, shoot me an email, rob@superspeeders.com. If not, you enjoy the rest of your day. If you want to go driving and have a good time with us, though, Adventure Drives coming up. It's going to be in Chicago in about 2 weeks. So check out adventuredrives.com. I'll put a link right below in the description if you want to join us. It's a fun trip. Starts and ends in Chicago, goes up to Milwaukee. We're going to get a private tour of Wrigley Field. We've got a racetrack rented, so you can explore the limits of your car. There's rental options. There's good food. There's good drinks. Nice hotels. You'll have a good time. So check it out, adventuredrives.com. Link in the description. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your weekend.